some aspects about some of the funding, like needs assessment, what has been agreed on in the past. We are, discussing, approaching our colleagues in finance and some of their allowances so that we can get a figure, we can put a figure to some of these things, because some of them are still loose and not quite known. And even at the last meeting we had with ASUU, we asked them to provide information on some of these things so as to facilitate implementation engagement with our colleagues in finance for implementation. So
Honorable Minister,
yes.
We are counting on that intervention. Trust me, Nigerians are concerned about, hearing this same complaint year in, year out. But during your last appearance on this show, some 11 months ago, you disputed UNESCO's estimate of 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria. I remember that you put that figure around 10.5 to 11 million, what you called a moving target at the time. Can you provide an update on the current number now? And specifically, how many of them have we successfully reintegrated into the education system in the past year?
My comment on the number is that as we are speaking, nobody has done a census of students or people who are out of school, whether it is UNICEF or UNESCO. Everything is about a conjecture. It's an estimate, and the one in the ministry too is about some kind of addition of figures from some research that have been done. But we are working to address this problem. So at the moment, what I know is that it may even be more than actually what UNESCO is saying. That's our position. The official estimate is 10-point-something million, but for me, we have to be very practicable. I believe it is something far higher than that. And so we are working towards getting the correct number through a census of learners across the country. It's a procurement process that has delayed us in commencement. We should have started some 2 months ago, but we are about getting over with that now so that we can do that. But at the moment, we'll be able to get some back to school. Some 2 months ago, we reported we'll be able to get back about 4 million children back to school. And then just 3-4 days ago, I have a report from the Almajiri and Out of School Commission that in Abuja here alone, they've been able to register about 22,000 young children for return to school this September-October school year. And this is just Abuja alone. They are fanning out to the rest of the states. So it's a project that we are ramping up so that those who are eligible, who are still young to go back to school, can be returned to school and continue with their education, while those who are too old to go back to school will now be given some training in various skills so that they can.
So, Honorable Minister,
skills and yes,
it's accurate to say that the Tinubu administration has been able to get 4 million children back to school in 1 year, right?
Correct. 4 million plus. Yes, 4 million plus, yes.
4 million plus. All right, while we're preparing for this interview, we asked our viewers to send in some questions, and we are inundated by a particular concern that we would like to share with you, but that will be after this break. Stay with us, everyone.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear
voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen, following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective, covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly.
We'll get to the tweets shortly. I'm here with the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman. Thank you so much for staying the course on the program. Let's talk about the student loan very shortly. We've started seeing letters from some universities acknowledging payments of funds in this regard. Precisely how many students have benefited thus far from the initiative, and what's this government's goal in the next 3 years?
Well, at the moment, we have, the report that I have is as of 3 days ago, we have over 200,000 students who have applied, with 44 billion committed to those applications. And then institutions, about 21 billion committed to institutions that have, where these students are. And I don't have the exact figure on how many of them have been credited, but 2/3 of them have successful applications, which means that amount of money we're talking about is already committed to the students. The beauty of the student loan is that the process is seamless and very smooth. All the student needs to have is JAM registration and his NIN, and then identification that he's a student of the university, and Polytechnical College of Education, of course, now. And then he will have access to the facility. There's no quota whatsoever. And so students who apply now are getting the money without any hindrance or hindrance.
Is it true that NEL Fund is considering increasing the student loan stipends, which is currently 20,000 naira, due to economic realities?
I cannot confirm that for certain. It hasn't come to me as a proposal, so we work with what is on ground at the moment, but we don't discount that possibility.
So we saw you reverse the ban on underage admission. We're hearing that that is to be enforced in 2025. What issues do we have with 16-year-olds in our universities?
Well, there's no issue really. What we said is just to remind the public of existing policy. We didn't bring in new policy, and that is the practice in many, many jurisdictions across the world. If you look at the trajectory for school, for age in Nigeria, pre-primary school, they are supposed to go to school at the age of 5 or 6, and then spend 6 years there, and then basic education overall is 9. You add the 5 or 6 to it, you have already 13 or 14, and then by the time you add up the 3 years for secondary school, you have 17 and a half years. So it's a very simple arithmetic. And what has been the problem is parents jumping schools and jumping class years. And, you know, from what has been established actually, even medically, you know, students are going to schools premature in terms of age, you know, have problem managing their affairs, coping with academic life.
Honorable Minister, it's hard to tell, it's hard to say that a 16-year-old is premature in this age and time if you are conversant with how exposed, you know, people have become recently. But we don't have as much time to talk about that now. We'll continue this conversation later on. Let me read some tweets for you, and so we can get your response to what many of our viewers are concerned about. This person says, the Honorable Minister suspended accreditation of degree certificates from Niger Republic, Benin, and Togo, but later exempted Niger Republic. The growing rumor is that the exemption was a preferential treatment to Mariam Abacha University. That's from at Ekiti Oracle. And then Umar is saying, regarding students from Benin and other countries, when is the matter going to be settled? It's 8 months now since the ban on NYSC enrollment was placed, while 3 months was actually set for the issue. Adebi Samson is saying, kindly ask the Minister of Education the current status and the fate of students that studied in Benin and Togo. We've waited enough. Please, this is over 7 months. We need an answer. The ban is affecting a lot of our lives. Honorable Minister, this is making reference to the suspension of evaluation and accreditation of certain schools earlier in the year, following concerns of certificate mills. Government decided to embark on an investigation that has long ended. What is the update? How do you address these concerns?
Well, I start by clarifying the issue on Niger. Niger was never part of it, so there was no question of lifting the ban on Niger. The focus from the beginning was on Benin, Togo, and some other, essentially Benin and Togo. Now, the report has been submitted. The Federal Executive Council has actually approved the recommendations from the ministry, and we will have a press conference tomorrow where the details will be laid out. And the Federal Executive Council has approved implementation of that report where graduates from institutions that have no official approval in those countries will not be recognized, not just not be recognized, but actually they are prohibited in Nigeria, and they will be fished out if they are already in service of any government or any major agency. And as I said, tomorrow we are going to provide the details of the institutions, relevant institutions in those countries, and even the number. But by and large, from Togo, we have close to about 21,000 students who graduated from those institutions between 2017 to the time of the investigation, and about 1,000 plus from Togo. So those students or graduates in court, we know, will not have recognition in Nigeria. And so if they did any service, that one will be disqualified, and then if they are in any employment in Nigeria, then they will be fished out because they are bringing in qualifications which are illegal, even in those countries, not to talk about Nigeria. But as I said, some more details will come out tomorrow. We'll do our press conference.
Are you suggesting the possibility of lifting the ban on these universities tomorrow?
No, we are not lifting ban on any institution because they are illegal institutions in the first place, even in those countries where they are running. So we don't even have the power to lift the ban on them. We cannot recognize what is illegal here in Nigeria. Even universities in Nigeria that produce certificates that are fake, they are fake in this country, they are recognized as such. And not to talk about institutions across the border that don't have...
No, Honorable Minister, just to get some clarity, because, you know, we reported this earlier on in the year, and I remember raising it with the Honorable Minister of State. There was a document that was widely published, you know, it was claimed to have been sourced from the ministry, that after that investigation was carried out, you were able to highlight the accredited universities in these countries. Can you share more light on that? Are you saying all of the schools are not accredited and all of them are fake?
No, not all of them. Those countries have universities which are recognized. They have, of course, those institutions which are not recognized. Some were just set up for international students, really, and by their proprietors, and without approval of the national governments. And that's why even in those countries, as I said, they are not recognized universities, even in those countries. So we can't recognize them here. But they have their own institutions which are recognized, and we will provide the detail tomorrow in the press conference.
Honourable Minister, we have to go now. Hopefully you would return and continue this conversation. But let me just inform you also that one of the concerns raised here are from students under the Nigeria Bilateral Education Agreement, and they've been talking about 14 months stipends owed them in countries like Hungary, Morocco, China, Serbia, Algeria, Venezuela, and Russia. We don't have time to take your response to that, but I'm hoping that you'll also be able to do something about it. Thank you so much for talking to us. We've been speaking with the Honorable Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman. That's our show today, everyone. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 p.m. or rather 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
I'm Miriam Lunge. I'm a passionate environment advocate and a published author.
I am the founder of Celebration, a businesswoman, and a fashion icon.
I am a wealth coach and a real estate developer.
I am Amako Arakwe. I'm a corporate commercial lawyer and an entrepreneur.
Barka mu da warhaka. I am Ramatu Shehu Oyibo, an entrepreneur and a business coach.
I am the voice of an average Muslim woman, an hijabite, and a lawyer.
I am a polymath and a serial entrepreneur.
I am Murayo Afolabi Brand, Managing Director, TVC Entertainment. I'm a media consultant, producer, and broadcaster.
The ladies of your view.